Picture this. You're lost in the desert. There's no cell signal, no trail markers, just sand and rock and silence. So you reach for your one reliable tool, a compass. Except little do you know, this isn't going to go as you expect. You've heard of a town to the north, so you hold the compass flat, align that little red needle with the big end pointing ahead, and start walking north. But something's wrong, because no matter how far you walk, you never find the town. That's a little dark for this channel, but don't worry, because by the end of the video, we are going to get you out of that desert. Because today, we are exploring places on Earth where north isn't actually north, and uncovering why this is. Alright, so in the desert, it is hot and you are getting thirsty, so we need to hurry and figure out what's going on here. You didn't misread your map. You're not hallucinating, thankfully, and technically speaking, your compass is working just fine. But in some places, what's beneath your feet can actually mess with your compass, and not in a dramatic spin wildly around sort of way, but in a subtle pull, gently nudging you off course. Here's the science behind that. Compasses work by aligning with the Earth's magnetic field. The needle itself is a tiny magnet, and it is attracted to the Earth's North Pole. But this means that other magnetized things can throw it off. The desert you're lost in isn't just any desert, because beneath the sand lies the remnants of ancient volcanoes. Buried under the sand is tons and tons of hardened lava flow, and this is exactly what's creating your problem. Some rocks, especially those that are rich in iron, can carry their own magnetic field. So if you're walking across old lava flows or mineral-heavy terrain, your compass might get a little confused, reacting to the rocks beneath your feet and getting thrown off course. In other words, even the ground is weighing in on where you should walk, because everybody has to have an opinion these days. These are something called magnetic anomalies, and they're not just theoretical. You can find them all over the world. In fact, the US Geological Survey has mapped these anomalies across the entire country. One of my favorite national parks that I've covered on this channel is a place called Craters of the Moon National Monument, and it is a fantastic example of these magnetic anomalies in action. Craters of the Moon is a massive field of hardened lava flow from volcanoes that erupted around 2,000 years ago. All this volcanic rock, which is usually quite rich in iron, creates a magnetic anomaly here. Now, in our desert, these buried rocks are doing something very similar, and they are nudging our compass off maybe 5 or 10 degrees from its course. That may not seem like much, but even a small error like this can steer you in the vastly wrong direction over time. To better understand this, think about it this way. If you took a magnet and held it next to a compass, the needle on the compass would swing towards the magnet. That's essentially what's happening here, except instead of a magnet, you have the rocks. In the desert, the buried rock's magnetic field was just strong enough to pull your needle slightly off course, without you even realizing it. But fortunately, you figure this out soon enough and adjust for this anomaly. Alright, so you're feeling confident now, right? You understand magnetic anomalies, you're like a human GPS, and you'll surely get to that town before sundown. Except, it's getting dark and you're still not there. Things are feeling off again. You're still looking for that town, but it's nowhere. The needle is still pointing north, but you don't seem to be heading in the right direction. Darn it, there's more going on here, isn't there? Now, you've been in the desert far too long, and the dehydration is really setting in, so you start hallucinating. And what do you hallucinate but nothing other than your 9th grade science teacher, Mr. Boggins. But fortunately for you, this man is here to help. He asks for your compass, pulls out a chalkboard out of nowhere, and tells you that a compass doesn't actually point to the top of the Earth. It points to what we call magnetic north, which is a totally different place from true north. True north is the geographic North Pole. You know, where Santa lives. While magnetic north is where Earth's magnetic field is strongest, aka the spot where your compass needle is actually drawn to. And the reason for why this exists is kinda sick. You see, in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, we often forget that we are actually standing atop a fiery, giant molten ball of metal that is hurtling through space. In other words, we are all astronauts and the Earth is our flaming spaceship. Anyway, in the outer portions of the Earth's core, I can't say Earth's, like Earth's. I can't do it. I don't know why. I'm sorry if that's annoying. I'm doing my best. Anyway, in the outer portions of the Earth's core is all this molten iron, and it's fluid, constantly shifting around and moving. And it's this iron that generates our magnetic field. And side note, you can thank that iron because it actually saves us from some pretty terrible things. One of them being unholy amounts of solar radiation that would cook you in an instant were it not diverted by the Earth's magnetic field. So if you thought the desert sun was bad now, try it without the magnetic field. Also, someone turned Mr. Boggins into a fish. We're running out of time. As it turns out, magnetic north and true north aren't lined up. Maybe they were in the past, but they're not anymore. We've all been through breakups. We know what this is like. And to make matters worse, magnetic north isn't a fixed point either. In fact, it is constantly shifting. Magnetic north is somewhere in the Arctic Ocean, drifting towards Siberia at a rate of about 40 kilometers per year. That's 25 miles for all my fellow Americans. So what is the reason for this shift? Well, it's the movement of that molten iron that we just talked about. As the iron shifts around beneath the surface, so does the Earth's magnetic pull. Now, your fish teacher looks you in the eye and said, here's your problem. Your map is aligned with true north. Your compass is aligned with magnetic north. And if you don't account for this discrepancy, you're gonna have a bad day. But luckily, there is a solution. The angle between true north and magnetic north is called magnetic declination. And depending on where you're standing, it can be just a few degrees or a lot more. For example, in Seattle, magnetic north is about 15 degrees east of true north. In New York, it's around 12 degrees west. Now, something like 12 degrees might not sound like much, but follow that bearing long enough and you will end up somewhere between this isn't right and why is my teacher a fish? On the flip side, adjust for it and you will be just fine. Except now you find yourself with the strangest problem of all. So what if you said, screw it, I'm sick of all this, I'm going straight to the source, and you decide to go to the magnetic North Pole. You get out of the desert and you travel to the place your compass is actually trying to find, the magnetic North Pole, the place where everything should finally make sense, right? Here's the deal. A compass works by detecting horizontal magnetic pole. It wants to swing flat, left or right, to align with Earth's magnetic field. And usually this works great. And that is because across most of the planet, Earth's magnetic fields are angled just enough to give the needle a strong horizontal direction to follow. Whether you're in the forest, a desert, or halfway up a mountain, the compass can lock onto that field and reliably point you toward magnetic north. But at the magnetic pole, the field doesn't run sideways anymore. It points almost straight down into the Earth. And this means that your compass needle doesn't have any strong sideways direction to lock onto. Instead, it's just kind of left floating in confusion. The needle might tilt, stick, or move unpredictably, but one thing's for sure, it's not going to point you in the right direction. The fascinating thing is, it's not broken. It's just that the field that it's designed to follow isn't horizontal anymore. So if you're trying to continue to go north past the magnetic pole and up to Santa's house, your compass is not going to help you get there. Because the closer you are to the magnetic North Pole, the less reliable your compass will become. The signal weakens, the direction fades, and what once felt certain doesn't. When you finally reach the place where north should be, your compass has nothing to say. And maybe there's a lesson there for all of us, that it's not about the destination that matters, but the journey that it takes to get there. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so that you can keep learning about nature and science. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.